Namaste, Jai Bharat. Judiciary, executive, and legislature are three important both structural and functional aspects of democracy. More so in our nation, Bharat. Now, just envisage, just imagine, if the legislative is corrupt, the legislatures are amassing money, saying something and doing something. There is nothing new in the world. People have been doing it. And on the other hand, also there are excellent people, absolutely honest. These both things we have been seeing for a long, long time through history. Then, of course, suppose the legislature is very corrupt. Its corruption spreads to even other agencies, other aspects of the so-called pillars of democracy. And the situation in Bharat today has shifted its structure. As of now, in Bharat, the legislative is much less corrupt. Much less corrupt. I won't say absolutely not corrupt or absolutely not nepotistic, but much less, to the point of negligibility. But judiciary, I doubt. Executive, of course, no comments. Because executives will follow the legislature. When it's absolutely not corrupt, they cannot afford to. But judiciary has always enjoyed a kind of immunity. With all good intentions, goodwill. I said this simply because I'm just saying what I hear, not making judgments, not making any claims in my statement. You find lots of currencies in sacks, gunny bags, in a judge's house. It came over very accidentally, his house got fired, and then half-burned currencies came out to the limelight quite a few days before. And what action had happened it, no one knows. Because the judiciary said, we will look into the matter, we will look into the affair. We don't know what happened. We don't know. They're supposed to be transparent, but we do not know. Then, way back, some time back in Punjab, there was an incident when a Prime Minister was almost held up on his way for half an hour. Very serious security lapse. Nothing happened. Is nothing happened, Jai Shri Krishna. Nothing happened. And then immediately the judiciary said, suo motu, we'll look into the matter. They haven't found glasses enough to look into the matter, it appears. No. The people who make judgments are mostly individuals. And we in Bharat, we have got a Sanskriti. See, if you speak about philosophy, one of the fundamental differences between European philosophy and Bharatiya darshan is that European philosophy is fundamentally speculative and is individual centric. But in Bharat, darshan is always collective mind and not speculative. It's based on the principle of yoga. That's a different thing. You have to go and read and understand. How do the philosophers? They use the methods of yoga to philosophize. But it's not an individual. It's always schools of thought. Similar is the situation in Parliament of Bharat. It's collective mind. But how are the courts, justice, judiciary? They're individual centric, like what you find in the European speculative thinking pattern. They could go wrong. European philosophies keep changing from one to another. There are breaks from one thought to another thought. There are multiple breaks. And of course, the students in the European world celebrate it as varieties of philosophies. But one nullifying other and one criticizing another, they go forward in that pattern. You look at the analytical, I'm not talking about linguistic analysis, the analytical enterprise in philosophy, that one criticizes the other and goes to a different direction, into another, and then nothing is exclusive, nothing is complete, nothing is the end. So that's there. When of course we know that nothing is the end word, it's all right. People can go on philosophizing, speculating. But that's not the situation in Bharat. It's collective mind always. That is similarly the situation of a parliament. our legislature is collective mind. It's not an individual who's making things, it's a collective mind. But that's not the case in the judiciary. The judiciary can go very well wrong, and very fiercely wrong, which has serious implications to the society, structure, Sanskriti, and everything. So this, our Vice President, Manya Dhangarji, Dhangarji was indicating the same thing. He was speaking to the interns of Supreme Court database, as I understand. He just was concerning his concern about it. He himself is a judicial expert. So Dhangarji, before speaking, he must have experienced severe depressions from within, that things are not moving right. That's a feeling that we have. Dharma bodha. And a sanskari Bharatiya would have that dharma bodha and also dharma sankata. I'm sure Dhangarji must have experienced ghor dharma sankata. By seeing things, he has responsibilities. He is sitting on the top of Bharatiya governance. He sees things happening around. He conducts the house. And he's a vice president. He's vice president. Almost like a president. He must have experienced ghor dharma sankara. That was what made him speak. He himself is a very lettered in law. So these couple of individuals determine things to frustrations of people like Dhangarji. So he spoke. He just expressed his concern. It's for the nation Bharat to take it up. The judiciary, couple of judges sitting, are they the end word or not? Don't we have great law schools in our nation? Don't we have great professors, great scholars? I'm from academies, I know. Maybe not everyone is so great thinkers, but then there are horribly great thinkers in our nation. We come across people when you are into some kinds of councils and discussions, and when we interact, you come across such gems of personalities, such gems of scholarships in our nation, who are so completely detached from self and looking at things. Tyaktena bhunjita. Upanishads have been teaching us this for thousands and thousands of years. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. There are great scholars among us. Personally, I have interacted with and still keep interacting with such great scholars who are so detached to a personal level when it comes to knowledge system or scholarship. There are very few manipulators also, but then when you talk about scholarship, when you come across a person, you don't have to struggle to look at light. It's light which reaches you. You will know which is light, and you will be drawn to it. It will go. There are such people. So there are plenty of law schools in our nation, very reputed, very good law schools, which should have great professors. My age is not law, so I would personally know the professors of law, except my daughter-in-law. She is not a professor, but practicing law. So, you can't claim being exclusive. This is time that we should think about such things. And how these people get appointed? I know in university how a person gets selected. He has to undergo continuous evaluation. That is he has to present his credentials to the interview board in terms of black and white, published by notes, published publications. And upon the publications, he will be interviewed. And interviewing those sitting there in interview are not fools. They don't need your explanation. They understand things when you open your mouth. and then they select you, and then you're kept for a probation for 2 years to find out are you really consistent. Then only you're put in a job, and then it takes time for you to become a professor. It's not a cakewalk, it's not easy. You struggle. You have to to be a teacher. You have to have a complete, overall, total personality in every aspect, including moral existence. Dharma, we say in Bharat. You really have to go through and by and guided by dharma. How these people get appointed? There's no such system. There's a collegium. Couple of people, maybe 3-4 people, or maybe 5-6, I don't know, sit. And no, I don't know what kind of credentials they look into. They select someone. Mostly, it's Keith and getting appointed, as we see. Well, is it fair? Is a question that comes to common person's mind. We are not fools. The other people outside judiciary are not idiots and fools, and they live in a kind of pomp, luxury, and even show. Authority has to be earned through righteousness, not should be thrust on you from above, as it happened in the case of this Muhammad Yunus fellow. He just simply made the advisor, and the advisor, of course, whatever terminology, is put in charge of a state or a nation. Yes, he got it from above. One has to earn it. If when one earns it, it becomes more genuine. We have examples in front of us in our ministries, in our ministry. Leave alone a prime minister who would struggle for the nation. He is an example. When I hear Pujanya Guruji's expression, Rashtraya Swaha Idam Namama, prime minister's face comes to my mind. It's the best example I have seen. Of course, I came across so many Swayamsevaks of this attitude who would internalize these mantras, so many. But then efficiency also should be associated with that. So his face comes to my mind. So it's time that people should rethink and revisit and understand things where required, make restructuring. Nothing should be a holy cow. Nothing should be beyond criticism. That's the healthy way of existing. I just happen to remember that's book. This man, Karl Marx, is not an ideal character for me at all, but he's very poetic in his writings. He wrote a book. He wrote many books. The entire life he had been only writing wonderful, wonderful books in a very poetic kind of language. Very poetic language, wonderful language he has. German, basically. He wrote one book. One of the books is Holy Family, or Critic of Critical Criticism. And that's the way Marx puts things. Holy Family, or Critic of Critical Criticism. That kind of attitude, critic of critical criticism, should descend into our minds. It's constructive, positive, and contributive. We shall meet again and talk about, but many things are disappointing. Dharma Sankata is not only for our Adaraniya Vice President Dhangadiji. An armed citizen like me also feels Dharma Sankata, and someone has to do something to a Dharma Sankata. I can't help saying Dwargadhish should come back. Dwargadhish should come back. He knows what to do. At least we can try to understand what he would have done. We shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Ram.